So this is a brief video on VBA macros, macros which we built for doing a repetitive task. For example, this is a central sheet task, and like this we have sheets like overseas, southeast, and west sheet, which has the similar kind of data in here, and we want to paste that data and make this file as a master data. Say for this we can create a macro. Now before we start with the process of building a macro, let's understand how to even start with that. So for building a macro we need a developer tab, which we don't see here. So what you can do is go to Excel options, Alt FT. uh, Here you can see this customize ribbon. In here this developer tab is there. Just click on developer, hit OK. Now you can see developer. Now another thing which you need to understand is that Excel keeps these macro options as deactivated. So you'll have to go to options, trust center, then go to trust center settings, then you click on the macro settings, and this, see, by default it is disable all macros without notifications. So we need to click on this, enable all macros, and then trust access to VBA project object model, and click on OK. Close this. We are ready to go. Now click on developers tab. Here you can see a couple of things like Visual Basics. Double clicking on this, when you click on this, a window will open like this, where you can see your codes if you have anything. So this is a macro which I had already created, so that's why we can see a code here. If you don't have it, it will show blank. We'll come to this later and see in detail. And there are a couple of things we need to understand. One is control tab. Control tab, what it does is that it toggles between same type of applications. Like if you are in Excel, it moves between Excel to Excel, previous to current. Okay, Alt tab, what it does is that it toggles between two apps, two different. It can be same or different, but it just goes into from previous to current windows which you are using. And then this syntax text, when you type in such a way, like comma and text in the syntax which I was showing in the Visual Basics, that window, if we write in front of the syntax, it doesn't affect the syntax. It can be used just as a note for that syntax. Like say for example, anybody opens that file and try to see the macro, that additional note can be seen. So that's about it. And some of the points which we need to remember is that since like first in this task what we're trying to create is that we are trying to paste data from another sheet which is similar to this, and trying to bring it here. We need to use control tab because we are not moving between some other applications, but from Excel to Excel. Now second thing is we have to 100% use the relative references. If you don't use it, then it will act weird and it will throw up errors. All right, when doing relative references, is again it is used for toggling. It is the function of offset in VBA. All right, third thing is remember that when we are pasting data, we are not supposed to use control V because it consumes some data in the clipboard, and since it saves it there, but we don't want that. So even when we have copied the data from the source sheet, and then we have come back to this come back to our destination sheet, this central sheet, we can use enter instead of control V. So we will see this in a practical. Now if we have already created a macro, or we had previous macro, we can see it in here. You want to delete it, you can delete it, or want to edit it, you can edit it. If you edit it, it will take you to the VBA project. If you want to delete it, you can delete it, so if you want. All right, and there are three ways to save this, which we will see. Let's delete it first. I've deleted it, and so I've clicked on use relative references, then I hit on record macro. So now it has, we have to name it whatever. I'll name it again, copy, and then there is a way to create the short key. if any of the shortkeys is available, like say for example control S is not available, because control S we commonly use for matlab saving the data. But if you use this control S, it will override that function and it will run the macro instead. So you have to be very careful. Only the keys which are free and not been assigned as a shortcut key by the developer of Excel, those can be used. So one thing is that the control shift, there are not many keys which have been assigned by the developer, so we can use this to make this shortcut key control shift or any alphabet. Then we can just click shift and the alphabet which you want. So in my case I'm taking control shift q. So it's done. And there are three ways to save this macro. One is in personal macro workbook. So what it does is that it saves the macro in your personal workbook, which will be available in a separate workbook, and that macro can be used in any of the Excel. But when we click on this workbook, this macro will be available only and only in this sheet. All right, so as of now I want only in this sheet, so I'm selecting this workbook and then clicking OK. So it has started recording, if you can see. So this is how we will do this macro, this particular macro. Click on anywhere, just control home, so it goes there, control down, and then we go down, and then oh, I did a mistake over here. See, whenever we are trying to make a macro like this, so I'll just stop this. I don't want this as of now. So when we are working on this, so this is our base file. We need to open another file also. You need to keep, this is our base file. This is the sheet from which we want data. So I've kept it open. All right. Now we click on the use relative references, start record macro. It will ask to name it. So copy, control shift Q, and in this workbook click OK. So it has started recording. So we want to go to home and control down, one more down, and then control tab, so it goes there. Then control home, control down, control shift right arrow, control down. You can copy, then control tab and enter. So it is pasted. Our macro is done. To stop recording. So we'll just do a testing of it if it is working or not. So we'll just close this sheet, open this southeast zone sheet. Then we have to come to our base file, just control shift Q. So it is working fine. So another time we'll just close this sheet, and then we click on this west file, then go back to your sheet. You can press control shift Q. So it is correctly pasting everything. So this is all about as of now on this VBA macros. Another thing is about Visual Basics, this sheet. Now this sheet is where we can see our VBA macro files syntax. So if this view doesn't open, say for example this view is not there, then click on view, and then you can click on projector and then properties window. I don't know the use of this window. I'm just closing this. This is where this was our base file where the macro was saved, and this is the workbook module. In here it will be saved. So this is the syntax which we had taken. Okay, so this is how, and the one which I was talking about, if we do text like this, text, if we do comma Krishna, so this will not affect the syntax. It is just a note. All right, VBA macro, edit if you want to edit. See, you want to give a try one more time. If it takes the data of west, Control Shift Q, and if you can see, it is still working. And another thing to remember in macro is that there is no undo. So once macro is run, there is no undo. There is no undo. So we have to be very careful while applying a macro. All right. So there is no undo in this one. The only way is to close the whole sheet so that nothing is saved.